Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode number 120 of the WP Café show with myself, Mark Wilkinson, and as always, my co-host is alongside me, Keith Devon. This is the show all about WordPress, WordPress development, running our Highrise Digital WordPress agency, and building our WordPress-related products, Job Relay, RecPress, and any others we decide to build in the next few weeks. We tend to be doing quite a few these days. Thank you for joining us. If you like this sort of content, then please feel free to subscribe to the channel. We get a week before the next episode, hopefully. They usually go out on a Friday at 1:30 UK time, unless we've got other things to do, which get in the way. But good to see you all here. Let us know in the comments who you are, where you're listening from. It's nice to see that there's someone tuning in. And other than that, how have you been in this last week since we last had a show, Keith? What have you been up to that's going to excite our users?
I don't know if I can live up to that line of questioning.
What have you been up to then that's not going to excite our users?
Yeah,
and it's highly interesting.
That's more like it. Outside of work, just enjoying the sunshine. It's been like practically constant sunshine for 3 weeks here, so it's been pretty crazy. Not particularly warm, but yeah, nice. So I've been enjoying that. Work-wise, cracking on with some offline kids stuff. We can chat about that. Doing what else have we been doing? Yeah, just some maintenance stuff on some of the websites that we maintain. Nothing really that exciting, to be honest. Unless I'm missing something that you can remind me of, but it's just been one of those weeks. Just been lots of little things to get, to move forward, and yeah, it's been all right.
Good.
What about
you? I've been enjoying the sunshine too. It's been really dry here in the northwest of England. I think we last had rain, I want to say like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's for the last week. It's been sunshine and 20 odd degrees every day. It's been beautiful. Everything's just bone dry. So I've been rather enjoying whacking a golf ball around the golf course a few times. I must admit.
Yeah. Does it go a lot further because it's so dry? As in when it hits the ground, it just like
yeah. It's some of the courses. I mean, they're obviously irrigating the greens and the tees, but the fairways they don't. So the fairways are rock hard, so you can just go anywhere. You've got to be careful what you're hitting. But yeah, so I'll be attempting another effort tomorrow morning. We'll see how
Very good.
On.
Yeah. The never-ending process of trying to become a better golfer.
Yeah, the never-ending process.
Yeah.
There we go. That's what I enjoy doing. So, today's show, we have got a few things to discuss. We're going to talk a little bit about Job Relay and some development work that I have been working on in our Job Relay product. We're going to talk a little bit about pitching for work. With specific emphasis on something, which you'll find out about when we chat about it. And we're going to talk about the new-ish product, I don't want to call it a product, website that Keith started and chatted about, I think it was last week's episode, called offline.kids, which we'll chat about the progress we've made on that over the last week or so.
Yeah.
Mainly what Keith's made on that, I must admit. But you can chat about that. So, yeah.
Sure.
So that's the plan for today. As always, if you have any questions about things we're chatting, comments, please do let me know in the comments. It'd be nice to get your thoughts. So, shall we start with Job Relay?
I think we should. And you've been busy, haven't you? I guess you should set up this situation. How did this come about? What was give us the setup, and then we can go into the solution.
So for those new here, Job Relay is a integration with job posting and distribution providers. So there are many of them about there, and recruitment agencies, they log into these software services, they write a job advert, and they allow them to deliver that job advert to various different destinations, job boards, etc. And Job Relay is an intermediary between them and the WordPress site. So they send the job to Job Relay, and Job Relay then sends it onto WordPress, and we save it, and we do that sort of stuff. So that's how Job Relay works. And for most providers that we're integrated with, they send one job at a time. So the consultant is writing a job advert. They pick the destinations, including Job Relay, and then they press publish. And at that point in time, I'm going to say instantaneous. It might be a minute later, but you get the idea. They deliver that one job to Job Relay. We deliver it to the website. We save it, blah, blah. So that works pretty well. Because when they deliver the job, there's actually quite a lot happens in the background. So we sort of geolocate the job. So we query that endpoint. We generate a social image for those customers that have purchased that add-on. That happens. And that can all take time. Now, yes, I mean time as in a number of seconds, not a number of minutes. So for each job that's posted, it might take 2 or 3 seconds for a response to be sent back while we're busy generating those different things. Now, yes, the purist developers out there are going to scream at me and say, well, you could do that better. And yes, I could. But for this instance and this purpose, it works fine. They get a response in a few seconds and everyone's happy. Now, one of the providers that we're integrated with do it differently. And the way they do it is they have a live XML feed of their jobs. So that's all the jobs that have been marked to be delivered to Job Relay, the websites. They have an XML with all those jobs in, and they send us all that XML every time. So we have to parse that XML. We have to loop through each job, and we have to send each job. And the way that was previously happening was that the Job Relay system, when it gets delivered to Job Relay, we parse the XML, we loop through each job, and we produce essentially a large array of data, which then gets sent to the WordPress site. The WordPress site loops through that array of data and starts handling the saving of the jobs or updating of the jobs or deleting the jobs. Now, that was fine, again, when there wasn't too many jobs in there. And most recruitment agencies don't have 3,000 jobs in their feed. They don't have 40,000 jobs in their feed. They have 20, 25, that sort of number. And again, for each job, we have to wait for various things to happen, which is maybe 0.3 of a second for this API, 0.3 of a second for this API, 0.1 of a second to process, in PHP. Well, when you add that up for 50 jobs, you're talking 10 to 12 seconds for a response, which probably would work. It's getting a bit of an issue now, though. And then recently we had a recruitment agency that had a significant number of jobs in their feed, and it was just constantly hit and miss as to whether it would work. They were constantly getting errors like it hasn't posted. And when I looked into it, essentially it's just timing out. That's all that's happening. It's PHP, I think, waits for 30 seconds as a max. And I guess you can set this based on various parameters, but you don't want to be waiting 3 minutes for a response, do you? So
why not, out of interest? Just like why does that matter? Why wouldn't like a 5-minute response time? Why would that be a problem?
Well, I'm sure some of the better developers than me will tell you a better answer than me, but I would imagine that the sender would have a limit as how long they will wait for a response. I can't control that. So how long are they going to wait for that response before they decide that something's gone wrong and there's an error somewhere? So that's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
And I guess the other reason, potentially like for sort of spam or dodgy things happening, like you've injected a lot of data that shouldn't, so it makes sense not to wait forever, that sort of thing, potentially. So to try and resolve that, I was looking around for how do we actually process, what if an agency comes to us and has, 10,000 jobs? Why can't Job Relay work for that client? It should be able to. So how do we actually handle having, parsing 10,000 jobs? Maybe that's ridiculous, but you get the idea. A lot of jobs, and still being able to do these requests on each job and being able to post them to the website and save them. So I looked into it and I was thinking, well, we don't need to do these tasks for each job, geocoding the job and generating the image and doing all these things, maybe sending an email if it fails or whatever. They don't actually have to happen like immediately. When the posting service sends the XML to us, all we need to do is respond and say, yes, we've received it and we've it's in the correct format. Thank you very much. We will now process this. That's all we need to do. They don't need to wait until we've actually delivered everything. So I was looking into what that entails, and I found the Delicious Brains. I'm going to call it a script. I don't know what it's called. It's a GitHub repository. It's like a class that you install, and it allows you to do certain things. And it was for background processing in WordPress.
Yeah,
which kind of my ears sparks up.
You looked at this. You found this a while ago, didn't you? Like this is.
I found it a while ago. Yeah, and I had a little bit of a play with it, but I didn't really take. And at that point, we didn't really have a problem. In fact, I probably found it for a different reason. I can't remember now. Anyway, found this script for background processing in WordPress. So it kind of does what it says on the tin. It allows you to set up tasks that go into a queue, and the queue is run in the background. So I can return a response to the person that sent it to us and say, yep, we've received that. It's in the right format. Everything's good. We'll now process that. They get a response back in much faster time than they would do otherwise. And in the background, this process happens that handles each job, does all the different API queries, and then delivers it to the website. So that's kind of what I've been working on to build with it. And I have to admit, with a lot of help from ChatGPT, and I've kind of got it working, which is quite cool. And I've tested it with lots of jobs. Like I sent like 2,000 jobs in an XML file, which also AI is extremely good at creating an XML file with 2,000 jobs. You just give it like, here's what the XML should look like for one job. Go ahead and produce me an XML file that contains 2,000 of these jobs. And can you make sure that the reference is different for each job, the title is different for each job, and the description is different for each job? And it literally just fires that back to you. It's like, that would have taken me ages to do.
Yeah.
Which you can use for testing. So tested that up. So I think at the moment it's taking 5 seconds to return the response for 2,000 jobs. I'm not quite sure why it's so long, actually. It's probably got to parse the XML and then deliver it back. And there's obviously some checks and things going on in PHP at my endpoint. But it kind of seems quite a lot to me, but I'm not sure why. I'd have to do some more digging onto why that is. It's acceptable at the moment. It's fine. It's better than it was. And then what happens is I just ended up, before I actually sent them I just did a log, like log every time you're doing something. So you can literally open up the debug log and you can just see the queue firing all the time. When the thing's been sent, the response has been given, and the queue's just, dealing with job 1, dealing with job 2, dealing with job 3 and 4 and so on. And it was really successful. So tried that. Then I got it actually sending to a site and going through the whole process of creating the job on the site seemed to work fine. And then I completely forgot about deletes. So I was like, I've done all this. It's really working and it's great. But previously, what we did was, if a job wasn't in the XML file that was sent, but it was in WordPress, then it must have been removed from the XML file. Therefore, it must no longer be wanted as a live job. So once we've processed the XML, we've added all the jobs, we literally query for all the jobs left that haven't been processed and we delete them. So I was like, well, how can I do that in this one? So what I ended up doing, rightly or wrongly, maybe there's a better way of doing this, and if there is, let me know. I processed all the ones that we want to add. So that's all the ones in the XML. And then I save an array of all the references that we've just added. And then when I save that, and then when the next one comes in, I process all those again, and then I can compare the ones that have been sent to the ones that have been saved. So if there's ones saved that are no longer in the sent ones, I know that they're no longer in the live feed, and then I just add them to the queue with the delete command. So it runs all the adds, then it runs all the delete. Well, so it adds all the adds, all the deletes, and then runs through the queue, either adding or deleting them.
So there's no danger in that system then, is there, of like someone manually added a job to WordPress? Because that won't be in your array because it was never sent from that job posting service. So they can add a job in WordPress.
Correct.
And it won't get deleted.
Correct.
Because it's never been put in your array that you saved. Yeah.
It was never deleted before either, because I was only deleting jobs that were sent from our service, because I set a taxonomy term that said this is a job from such thing, and I only queried those particular ones that we'd sent. I had that problem when I built that one as well. Someone said to me, "Oh, you deleted such thing." I was like, "Oh yeah, I need to fix that."
Very cool. I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this, but we talked about like timeouts. Why doesn't this queue time out? It's a process that's kind of taking a long time. Like, Why is that not hitting like a PHP limit of some kind?
Because again, if anyone there's from Delicious Brains that can come and tell me exactly how it works, I'd love to know. I haven't gone into detail on it. What I think happens is that each task in the queue is a separate process. So it's not one task to finish the whole queue, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's take one task in the queue, process that, and move on to the next task, process that, and move on to the next. I think that's what happens.
I would assume that's probably right. Yeah.
So again, I presume if your task included lots and lots and lots and lots of things in it, then potentially the same thing could happen. But that's where you could probably then split your task into multiple queues.
Yeah.
So you could take the incoming job and then you could say, put it into the geocoding queue, which then gets geocoded, and then it gets returned and added to the next queue, which is to create the social image. Then it gets returned and added to the next queue, which is to send the job. Possibly that would work. So you just split it into multiple queues, which is interesting.
Queues and queues.
So
yeah, like it.
My questions are, what happens if the server crashes when there's 3,000 jobs in the queue? Like, if I restart the server, have they disappeared? Or
do you know where the queue's being saved?
I think it's saved to the database. In which case, would the queue start again once I've restarted the server, or would I have to trigger the queue to start again? I don't know the answer to that yet.
I'd assume you'd have to trigger it to start again.
Yeah, I would. But then I think when I read the docs, it says something about there is a cron job that runs every 5 minutes to check the queue, I think. So it might be that it does get restarted. Might not be straight away, obviously. So I'd have to check. Yeah. I wasn't too sure. But that was my worry. Like, if our server dies and I have to restart it, I would then, like, have I lost all of those jobs? Because I don't actually know what they are at this point. Like, I don't know what's been sent to us and anything. So that's something that kind of worries me a little bit. And I would also love to be able to, like, visually see the queue.
Yeah.
Can I go somewhere just to see the queue that, like, it's definitely running? You know, everything's happening.
I think you have to build that. Probably. I think we'll have to build a little status page.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I mean, I could do it with logs, like when I was testing. So at each point, just add a log to a file, and then you just essentially looking at the file, aren't you? Which is the log happening. But that'd be nice. And then maybe it'd be nice to, I don't know why you want it, but maybe nice to, like, pause the queue and start the queue. There is functions for that in the class and things. So it'd be interesting to sort of work with it. But it was good fun. It was good fun learning how it all works and managing to get it working. It's like I felt like I was like 25 again when you start developing and you just sit there all night, you know, getting really engrossed in something.
I love those moments.
Yeah, and then you get up and you're like, yes, I've got it working. And it's like it was such a eureka moment. It was good.
It feels like that feeling is less frequent. I don't know if it's just the world we live in and the technology's changed, or we're just getting older or whatever. But it's nice. It's nice when you rekindle that real love of problem solving and development, and it's fun.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a few hellos in the comments. So I think we should say hello back. So first up, Craig. Hi, Craig. We are doing very well. Thank you. Hope you are too. Nicholas. Hello there. Hi, Nicholas. We've got a wave from Mark. Hello, Mark. Jackson. Ciao, gents. Ciao, Jackson. And then a couple of comments from Craig. He says, the Delicious Brains library is a good one. I've used it in the past. And then he follows that up with, you might also want to look at Action Scheduler, which is what WooCommerce uses for its task scheduling. But it sounds like you're getting on fine. So yeah, there's another one potentially to have in the back pocket in case we ever need to try something different. Or
one of the things I came across that I was struggling with was that I couldn't get my queue to actually fire. I added stuff to the queue, and I just couldn't get it to run. It wouldn't run, and then I was again using ChatGPT to try and debug it with me and help me with it. And he was suggesting, like, add this code because if this runs, then you've added stuff to the queue, and then it's a problem with the queue being actually run through and everything. And I ended up just like copying the code that I got and saying to ChatGPT, like, I've done this, I've done everything you suggested, and I still can't get the queue to work.
Yeah.
And then amazingly, like he was just like, oh yeah, you just need to do this. And I can't remember what it was, but essentially you extend a class in. So they have like base classes in the Delicious Brains script, again I'm going to call it, and you extend one to create your own sort of queue.
Yeah.
And when I looked at the example plugin that had been built by one of the Delicious Brains team, right at the bottom where he'd extended the class, it just said like new my class, and I didn't have that on mine. And then Bob was just saying, "Oh, I just put that at the bottom." I was like, "New, whatever it was, job queue, fixed." And I don't know why, but it must be something to do with the ordering of things being initialized in WordPress. So maybe like I was pushing things to a queue that didn't exist yet because it hadn't been. I don't know, but that's what worked it out. But it's super interesting. Like certain things like that are so essential, and it wasn't really mentioned in the docs. It was mentioned in the example plugin,
right?
And it wasn't really mentioned. You know, it wasn't like there's on the comments on it. But it was. I obviously I missed it, but it was so important. So again, my lack of class-based PHP was woeful, and that's why it probably was breaking. But there you go.
It seems like you're probably like still struggling, probably don't feel natural in that world, but it seems like you're starting to understand it a little bit better, like know your way around classes. And it felt like that last time you were talking me through some code.
I don't
Maybe
know.
not.
I don't know. What was I looking at the other day? I showed you something.
Yeah.
I was following something in the code, trying to work out what was happening.
Yeah.
What was it? I can't remember.
And you just couldn't find out where this bit of code is being fired.
It was happening in the class, and you find the method in the class, and then like, well, when does this actually run? I can't find when it actually. I couldn't. It was just like, how does this make it easier? I don't know. Just couldn't. I still don't fully get to the bottom of those. There you go.
Hi, Elliot. Elliot says, if you create a PHP class, you then need to instantiate the class for it to fire. Yeah. I think that was the word you were looking for there.
What does that word mean?
Start. I don't know. Instantiate. Create an instance of it. Make it. I don't know, because in a way a class is just kind of an idea, and you need to actually say, it's like, well, I'm not going to start to talk about computer programming stuff because I'm just like way out of my depth. But I just feel like it's having a function and you haven't actually called the function yet.
But that's the point I have. So in my endpoint, so I've created the class, I've extended such a class, right? Then I've included that in my plugin. So I've got a file that says require class.php, whatever it's called. And then in my endpoint, which is where we receive the XML and we process it, I've got new job queue, blah blah blah. So like $job queue equals new job queue. So it's like, give me a new version of this class, and then I can do like add to queue. I can't remember what they call it. Add to queue, save queue, dispatch queue.
So you had done all of that.
I had done all
already.
that, but it was just saying new class name at the bottom of one of the files. That's what I just don't get. Surely I've created my instance of the class when I want to use it. Anyway, that's what I just don't understand. I thought that was instantiating the class. That was like saying, set up a new instance of this thing that you want to then do something with.
Was there like a parent class or something that you hadn't, or were you instantiating the same class as you already had?
I don't know. Yeah. This is where it's confusing, but anyway, to me, anyway.
Yeah, well, you got it working, so congrats.
I got it working. Yeah.
We fumbled our way through, as always.
I was going to say, I still feel like it's a bit of a fumble our way through. Something's going to happen. I'm going to be like,
I mean, it sounds like a massive step up for Job Relay, though, in terms of its capabilities now. Because it's something we've kind of been worried about for a little while, about how do we handle those bigger payloads.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, I now sit here and think, why wouldn't I actually just put every job into a queue now? So whether it comes from an XML file that's big and got lots of jobs in, or whether it's just a single job, why wouldn't I just stick it in the queue, and then the queue gets handled in the same way for every job, whether it's an XML file, whether it's posted by provider X, A, B, C, or D. It just comes to Job Relay, we process it, it goes into the queue. It seems to make sense to me. And then we might have other queues to do background tasks for other things like sending emails, whether it's a failure email or whether it's a success email or, like logging queues. Yeah. I'm just going to get queues for everything.
Yeah. Can't wait. We do love to queue as Brits, don't we? So
queue it up, it'll be good. Yeah. So that's that. So yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. Like I said, it was one of those moments you have when you're a young developer and you just spend all day tinkering with something, and then you I think I did a little dance in the kitchen. I've got it working.
Nice. Yeah, you were quite excited to show me, weren't you, the next morning? So anyway. Can we have a catch up? I want to show you.
Come on, I want to show you this.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
You've got to look enthusiastic when you look at it.
Yeah. Great stuff. No, it's cool. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that rolling out and hopefully working.
So that's the next problem. I've got to press the button that says take what I had that's working and change it to this thing, and then hopefully it'll be fine. Yeah. We'll try and do that next week, I think.
Can you do it on a single customer site, just like upload a specific version of the plugin that isn't the kind of canonical version? But just
I don't know yet.
Manually upload it or something like that. Yeah.
I'll have a think how best to sort of roll it out. It would be nice to say just let's test it with this one customer, to say and then see if it works. So. But I'll see if I can come up with a way of doing that. We'll find out.
Yeah, very good.
Anyway, there you go. Right, moving on. What's next?
Well, our next challenge this week. Challenge? I don't know if it's a challenge. I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous to some people, I think. Definitely. But we put in a proposal for a web project a little while ago, quite a while ago now, actually. Hadn't heard anything for probably a couple of months, really. And then we got an email early this week saying, we would like you to come and present your proposal, 30-minute presentation, followed by 15 minutes of questions on this date at this time. It's a 2.5-hour journey for me and about a 4-hour journey for you.
Maybe 3.5, 4 hours.
And that's one way. And my instant reaction is just like, no. We've never done that before. In fact, we have done it once before. We actually did an in-person pitch in London, and didn't win the work. But London made more sense because, I don't know, closer for me, easier for you. We can hang out together and blah, blah, blah. And
that was also different because that was actually a current client.
Exactly.
Which was probably the reason we went, but probably the reason we didn't win it, actually, because why would they actually pitch in for other people?
Yeah. If they were happy with
it.
Exactly. They decided they wanted to have a change, I think.
Which we kind of knew that, but we wanted to go and see them and say,
just to pay respects to the relationship, because we've been with them for a long time and they've been with us for a long time. So yeah, and your, I think, probably correct gut reaction to it was, we should definitely go. Like, we don't have a lot of work on at the minute, like project work like that. So why wouldn't we? It would be a decent project to win. Let's do it. So I don't know. I still sort of feel the way I did, but I also realize the ridiculousness of it, and maybe the stop complaining about not having enough web projects if you're not prepared to go and pitch for them.
What does everyone think? I'd love to know if you.
Is that too much? Like, where do people draw the line about the amount of kind of commitment to the sales process? I feel like that's pushing the limits for me slightly. And I was saying to you, Mark, as well, and I think I mostly came to this conclusion just because it suited my own narrative of not wanting to go. But I also thought that in-person presentations, I actually don't think are a good way to choose a web partner, because they massively favor a certain type of personality. And I don't think that good developers and designers necessarily have that personality. The gregarious, like standing up in front of people, presenting, very engaging, very charismatic. I'm none of those things. Like, you know, I get sweaty and shaky and scared and forget what I'm supposed to say, and you know,
Yeah, I get that. I completely get that.
and
Then,
actually, it's not representative of the relationship we're going to have with this client either, because we're not going to do in-person stuff. It's going to be on video calls. So why not test how that feels at the start? And you know what? If you don't like it, if that wasn't a good experience for you being presented to in video calls, maybe we aren't the right fit.
yeah.
You know, like if this doesn't work for you, if you need in-person stuff, then find a local company who can come and be in person. I think. I don't know.
I don't disagree with you. The reason why I said we should probably go is because, you know, like you said, we can't complain that we don't get enough projects and then we don't actually go and pitch for them if this is what this person wants. And ultimately, like, how much is it going to cost to go? I don't know, 500, 600 quid at the most. Maybe a touch more if we have to stay over. Ultimately, what's it going to be worth if you win it? Well, it's a darn sight more than that. And any ongoing relationship you have for the next X amount of years. If you don't win it, then yeah, it's a pain in the butt because you haven't won it and you've put all the effort in. But if you don't put the effort in, then you won't win it. So
say it's 500 quid and 2 days worth of our time, which is what it would be.
Yeah.
Why would we not put that effort into marketing something? I don't know. Like, is that better spent? It's probably not.
No,
it's probably not. It's probably not because we're not good at marketing and we don't have a way to spend that money, do we? Like,
if you were and you did, the marketing that you spent would go to the same problem with another person. They might say, "Oh, your marketing's brilliant. We want you to come and pitch for the work."
Maybe, but like I said, until this year, we've never pitched for work in person. So you're assuming that the work that we would win through the marketing or the opportunities that we would get through the marketing would be more in-person pitches, and I'm saying they probably actually wouldn't be, or they wouldn't necessarily be. But yeah.
So in all answers to that question, then I think what we've actually done then is probably the right thing. So what we've done is we've responded with an email that says essentially what, like he's just said. So we don't work. We always work remotely, and due to that, we'd love to actually do this via video call rather than in person. Would that be okay? If it's not, then let us know, and we'll think about essentially whether we want to deliver it in person. Essentially,
I really want to know what people watching think. Please put in a comment saying go or don't go, or your own thoughts. Yeah, I really want to get a sense of this because I can't work out if I'm being ridiculous or it's actually reasonable to say no to something that's that big a commitment for a long shot.
Because from their side, like I can see if they're going to be spending a fair amount of money with us, you can sort of see. Well, actually, we'd love to meet these two guys. You know, we'd love to understand a bit more about them and who they are, whether we're compatible before we commit to spending this money. But then I think on the other argument, well, we're not going to deliver the work like that. We're going to deliver the work remotely over calls. So actually, you should be able to get a sense of whether you want to work with us in that environment over those calls, because that's how we're going to work. So yeah. I agree with you there as well. We're not going to be coming down in person. You know,
Mark says, I'd go if it's worth at least 4 weeks' work. It is worth at least 4 weeks' work.
Oh yeah, definitely it's worth more than that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, we will. We'll see what they say.
Yeah, we'll see what they say. Yeah,
and what we've decided to do. So, but yeah, it was an interesting one, that wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, last thing. Offline Kids progress. What has been going on with Offline Kids?
Bits and pieces. It's been kind of fun for me because this like really suits what I think is an ADHD brain, because I can sit there and just work on this, and what I end up doing, right, is like I think of an activity, so I get that kind of rolling and start like getting the content together for that.
Yeah.
And then and then my brain goes, oh yeah, but there's this new kind of blog post that you could write around this kind of topic. And then I get, ChatGPT to do me an outline of that blog post. And then I start like getting Sora to generate me some images. And I'm literally just going all over the place and gradually and then I spot something on the website that's like in the wrong place with the wrong color and I move that. And then I do this and I do this. So in one way, it's been kind of fun just to let my ADHD brain just go haywire, and just like pick off little bits of things that are catching my interest at any particular moment. So yeah, lots of like tiny little bits of progress. I've got some content lined up, so I think I've got about 8 or 9 activities lined up to come out over the next 8 or 9 days. So I'm trying now just to schedule activities rather than just like sitting down doing 10, dumping them all on the site. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. It just feels like kind of drip feeding it a little bit is probably the right thing to do, potentially from an SEO point of view, potentially from a like if people are coming back to look at it every so often, it hasn't completely changed. I don't know. That's my gut feel was that was good. And then if I like if I get pulled onto a project for a while, there'll still be stuff just like coming out every so often. It would be good to also then automate the social media side of that. I had a look at a couple of plugins to try to auto post to Blue Sky, but they only auto posted posts. And no other post type, which I just thought was weird.
Yeah, strange that, yeah.
I mean, I guess that is the 95% use case, but I would have thought maybe easy just to add a little checkbox saying which custom post types or which post types you want to use this on. Anyway, so I didn't get very far, and I tried to extend one of the plugins with Cursor, and Cursor didn't get very far. So I haven't got that sorted out yet, so I'll do that manually for now. I'm also thinking about blog content, thinking about different ways that I could kind of curate the activities, because I'm thinking more and more that what parents are going to need when they hit the site is, I am in this specific situation and I need some ideas. So I'm making dinner. I'm indoors with my kids. The kids need to do this activity on their own for the next half an hour. What have you got for me? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So those kind of like really, really curated, really relevant lists of activities, I think, is potentially a way to go in the future. And then there's like, I've got lots and lots of content ideas around different occasions of the year, festivals, seasons, religious holidays, well, you name it, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been good. But I'm kind of aware that I'm doing the classic developer thing at the minute of just tinkering and doing stuff that's within my comfort zone. And actually what this website needs is, I think it's ready for really, is promotion.
Yep.
And that's where I struggle. I really do. And I was actually talking to my friends this morning about it. And I think that I'm a little bit scared of success. I think I'm a little bit scared of something getting too big, and just like I was saying to the group this morning, like, what if the BBC picked this up? It's like, this is so topical. Everyone's talking about screen free this, screen free that. Right, you're invited to go on BBC Breakfast to sit on the sofa with whoever it is. I couldn't do it. Like,
I do it.
Yeah. And I could maybe do it with you if you held my hand. But I think I'm a little bit scared of success. I'm a little bit scared of like my head being above the parapet. And I've really got to try not to let that hold me back. So instead of being the type of person that's like really bullish about their own stuff, it's like, yeah, I'm amazing, our stuff is amazing, everyone should know about it, everyone should see it. I'm always like, it's a bit shit, isn't it? Like, it's not great, it's not the best, it could be better. That's just my mindset, especially when it's my own stuff.
We have asked lots of people about this. what they think of it. And I know a lot of will be being polite, but everyone has said what a good idea it is. As in, it is the sort of thing people would want to use.
Yeah. But will they?
I don't know.
I've it's
They
really
won't if they
difficult.
don't know about it. So
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, lots of people have seen it now, and as far as I can tell, there haven't. Well, I can tell, not very many people have signed up, as in registered, so that they can like favorite things. The mailing
I
list is
don't
out.
think that's unusual, though.
I don't either.
I
But
wouldn't sign up if it was something else. I'd use it probably, but I wouldn't sign up. I
yeah,
wouldn't see the great
but
benefit.
sharing as well. I think I would have liked to have seen
Yeah,
a little bit more sharing of it. Like, oh, this is so cool. You should check this out. And and there's been a lot of likes and a lot of comments like, congrats, this is a great idea, and not a lot of like people sharing it amongst themselves. And I think that's probably a really good metric about whether you've really nailed something or not. We'll see. We'll see. I'm being negative about it again. I'm being hard on myself, which I always am. So
please share
yeah.
it, everyone.
Yeah, but it needs like it would be really nice if the people watching or listening share it. But the real test is people that I don't know.
Yeah.
Not people doing it because they like me and want to do me a favor or you a favor.
Yeah, but don't you need a bit of helping hand to start that process off? You know what I mean? I'm sure all good products started with, come and get my friends and family to share it and talk about it and so on. And then someone else sees it because they saw it shared by not you, but by someone that you ask. And that's, everything has to have a starting point where it tries to grow. So yeah, I don't see that as an issue at the moment. And until people find it, it's very hard for people to like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll send the BBC an email and see if they'll see if they'll have us on the sofa. But yeah, so lots to do. Should we go through some
SEO wise?
Oh, SEO.
Because I guess that's kind of important, isn't it?
It's really hard to tell. I wouldn't say it's going like brilliantly well in some ways. So there's a lot. I'm worried about the number of pages that have been indexed. The system that we've built creates a lot of URLs, a lot of internal linking. And there's like under 100 activities on there, just under 100 activities. And we've got 6.9 thousand indexed pages. And that just does not feel... If I was Google, I think I would have flagged this internally and been like, nah, this site's been around for a week and there's nearly 7,000 pages on it. I don't know. That would send alarm bells ringing for me. Good in one sense, like we said last week, that our system is actually kind of working, because that's effectively what it's supposed to do. It's whether that actually works. So we'll see. I'm a little bit worried about that. The impressions have slowly been going up, although they've seemed to have kind of like peaked a little bit. Impressions being the number of times the site is served in a search result page.
Okay.
We're still really low down when it comes to average position, but that seems to be climbing slightly. The site has a domain authority of 2 according to Ahrefs, because it's brand new and nobody's linking to it. So why wouldn't it have a domain authority of 2?
And a site like the BBC news page for news would have a domain authority of 10?
100?
100. Is it 100? It's 100,
yeah,
is it right?
It's out of 100, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's a percentile thing or... Yeah, I don't know exactly how domain authority is calculated. I'm pretty sure Google don't have it in an API somewhere. So I'm sure these services kind of calculate it themselves in some kind of way. So yeah, it's going, like it's happening. I think this is probably the SEO side, especially. You're probably talking about this being like a 3-month, 6-month, 12-month process, or and more. To actually start ranking, because like, why would they just rank one of these pages over the many others out there, that have been around for ages, that have loads of backlinks, that come from higher authority domains, etc., etc. So there's lots of work to do, but I still think like the idea, it's fairly unique. I really haven't come across too many other people, if any, really, that are trying to do what we're doing.
It's definitely different. It's covering topics that others touch on, but it's definitely different and a different way of approaching it. So
there's lots of like arts and craftsy type things, or like there's lots of like parenting blogs with their own like, we did this activity this weekend type stuff. There's lots of blog posts about 101 things to do with your kids on a rainy day, that kind of stuff, but they're not proper directories where each activity is outlined and has its own URL and blah blah blah. So,
and a lot aren't dedicated to screen-free offline content.
That's true too. Yeah.
Let's test that part.
And so lots to think about, lots to do. It's turning into a marketing project now, which is not so fun. But I'm trying to stay positive about that and find ways that I can move things forward that kind of work for me and my personality, and that are sustainable and scalable.
Cool.
All the things. So yeah,
we'll see how it goes. Keep everyone informed of its progress.
I think we should cover just a few comments before we go, because
I completely agree.
There were a few while we were rambling away there. Where do we start? Let's go with Mark again. So Mark, he said, I'd go if it's worth at least 4 weeks' work, which we talked about. Then he followed up with, if a client doesn't want to do the first call online, then I understand that. But if it's a whole day's travel and meeting, then it has to be properly worthwhile. Yeah. Elliot says, if it was a long-standing client to have commissioned in the past, yes, go. If it's speculative, then if it's speculative, then go with your gut. Times have changed, so should they. Remote is the way. Yeah, I sort of agree with that. Mark, again, you also have to feel whether they will then expect follow-up meetings or not, to be in real life or not. Yeah, exactly. I'd probably waive that condition if it's an existing client who has given plenty of work in the past. Yeah, these guys are brand new. Elliot again says, times have changed, in my opinion. If they haven't moved with the times, e.g. acceptance of remote working, then they're probably still living in the dark ages. Alarm bells. Yeah. Okay. Very good. On to the offline kids stuff. Craig says, good idea. And then in quotes, we've got a long journey tomorrow. What can I have ready? Yeah, it's exactly stuff like that. Like 7 activities to do with your kids in the car on a long car trip, or on a plane, or on a train, or whatever. There's lots of ways you create like specific content. Hill's Business Group. Do you use a project manager app? We use Trello, and we have a blog post on how we use Trello on our blog, Highrise Digital, highrise.digital/blog. So yeah, we use Trello. Mark, any extra thoughts on Trello?
It's great. It works really well for us. Most of our customers like it. We've got a blog post. It tells you exactly how we run our Trello boards. It's quite an old post, so you might have to just search through the blogs that's on there. It might be one of the older ones, but it's definitely on there.
Yeah. We like it. Craig, this is on Offline Kids again. Get some AdSense on there quick. I mean, AdSense isn't going to do much when you've got like 3 visits a day. So, and actually, I would really, really love for that website to stay privacy focused and anti-big tech. That would be a really, really nice situation for me to be in long term, is to not be adding Google AdWords, AdSense, analytics, all the tracking, all the gumph. I don't want Facebook pixels on it. I don't want LinkedIn pixels on it. So appreciate the optimism there that's inherent in that comment. But yeah.
He just clarified that right at the bottom. He just said, out of context, I meant if the BBC picked it up. So I think he was saying, like, you might get a lot of traffic, so...
Yeah, I
Make some money quick.
I might change my mind if we get invited onto the BBC, Craig. Yeah. That's a very, very good point. Yeah. But it's interesting to think about how it might be monetized to make it sustainable going forward. I've got lots of ideas, and I don't think it has to depend on things like AdSense. I don't think I have to track people to make money on it, but we'll see. Elliot says, I get that success thing totally, but Keith, you come over so confident, wouldn't have thought you'd get the wobbles like that. Yeah, I'm very confident when I'm sitting here in my office with the screen between me and the world. In person, it's a very different story, but I appreciate the comments. And then Craig again, loving all the comments, folks. Thanks so much. Craig says, it isn't obvious that there's a mailing list available. I'd like to sign up and get a weekly digest, or if there's a big holiday come up, an email with ideas. Well, that is exactly what I'm hoping the mailing list is. And you're correct. It is there somewhere. I don't even know where it is on the website. It is there somewhere. But I will make that more obvious, Craig. I think that's a really great shout. Yeah.
I think it's at the bottom of every activity, but you have to click on activity, so that should definitely be pulled somewhere else on the site so you can see it.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. It should be on the archive pages, and it should be on the homepage.
It's on the single activity page, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Probably even put it in the main menu, I would say. But thank you for the thank you for the shout, Craig. Appreciate that.
Right, I have got boys to collect from school, so I'm afraid we are going to have to wrap this up after nearly 52 minutes. Yeah. That was fun. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us as usual. I'm going to quickly jump into the calendar and check for next week, which is the 23rd, and there's nothing in the calendar. So maybe we will be doing one next week, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
If we are, we'll let you know as usual in the morning, and we'll put out links, or do come along and watch us. If we do also got as a podcast as well, so if you can't join us live, you can always catch up on your podcast player of choice when Keith has exported it and stuck it onto the website, which he usually does straight after this, so hopefully you'll see it soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, until then, we'll see you next time, and see you then.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.